We have three speakers here to talk about regeneration, and from different angles. We're going to hear Tim Cease talking about sort of regenerating our local governments and putting people back into the center of local governments. We're going to have Lindsay Woolsey talk about regenerating local economies, especially rural economies. And first we're going to start with a chat about regenerating our K-12 education system and a talk about the McCleary Act. The speaker is Dr. Shelley Redinger, who is kind of the prototypical girl done well. She grew up here in Spokane. She went to high school a little bit north of here, went to Washington State University, became a teacher in Washington and in South Carolina, became an elementary school principal, and then went on to become a superintendent in Oregon. And before coming back to Spokane, she was in Virginia, and we're very pleased to have her back in her hometown. And she's going to talk about the McCleary Act, Dr. Shelley Redinger.
Thank you. Well, good morning and welcome to our beautiful city of Spokane. It's an honor to be in front of you today. As the superintendent of the second largest district in the state, Spokane Public Schools, I feel a little like a lightning rod today to be in front of you because McCleary is on everyone's mind. It's in the newspapers, it's on the news, and it means a lot. And the price tag that goes with it is a little scary to everybody. And I know what's on your mind is what are we going to do about community colleges? What are we going to do about transportation? I know we'd love to get Highway 395 completed to my former town that I lived in Chewelah. And so where do we find these other dollars? How do we meet all the needs of our beautiful state? And I know as Washingtonians, and myself being a Washingtonian, born in Washington, I have a huge passion for our state, and I know we all value, though, high-quality education. And we know the vital importance of educated citizens to having strong economies and a strong workforce in our state. So what happened, as you all know, is the McCleary decision refers to our Washington State Constitution. And Article 9 of the preamble states, it is a paramount duty of our state to provide ample funding for the education of all children in our state. And that's unusual a little bit in terms of state constitutions. You don't see that everywhere in the nation. Recently, as you all know, the state mandate was upheld by our Supreme Court, and in its January 2012 decision, McCleary decision, which we all have come to know as the McCleary decision, the court ordered the state to fully fund K-12 schools as mandated by the state constitution. And this is pretty historic. Like I said, you don't see this happening throughout the nation. I've lived in South Carolina, Oregon, and Virginia, and this is a little unique to Washington State. But I do want to share some information with you about this, why this is so important for our great state. So what does the McCleary decision mean, not only for Spokane Public Schools, but for each of your communities? In the order, in your local public schools, it means that by 2018, some certain things are supposed to be in place. Now, there has been some movement towards these different things. Some school districts have moved ahead. One of the areas is full-day kindergarten for all of our students. For example, in Spokane Public Schools, we have supplemented that with levy dollars to do that now. So this year we had full-day kindergarten in all 34 of our elementary schools because we believe so passionately that that will make a difference for our students. But by 2018, all districts in our states are supposed to have that in place. It also means K-3, so kindergarten, first, second, third grade class sizes of 17-1. Why was 17 picked? The data out there and the research shows that that makes a big difference in terms of the 17 number. So by 2018, having 17-1. It also includes full funding of transportation. Right now, most districts throughout the state are supplementing with levy dollars and other funds for their transportation needs. It also includes additional funds for materials, supplies, and operating costs, which we all call MSOCs. We love acronyms in education, so we call it MSOCs, but I like to say what the whole thing is, so material, supplies, and other costs. And that comes in ways of different areas that we don't have full funding. In Spokane Public Schools this coming year, we're using some of those MSOCs dollars to reduce course fees for our students. We have a very high poverty rate in Spokane Public Schools, so we're eliminating many course fees and supply lists. We're really paring those down for communities, so we're giving that directly back to our constituents. Additionally, the McCleary decision includes competitive salaries funding for competitive salaries for our teachers, teacher professional development, and less reliance on local levies, since we are seen as being very reliant on our local levies in our state. So what does this mean for each of you in general? Our expectation should be that it will make a big difference for our students, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And as you heard, I'm a Washingtonian, and specifically I like to say I'm an East Side girl. I was born in Spokane, graduated from Chewelah High School, and I know my Chewelah Padres are here today, and yay, Chewelah, and graduated from Washington State University. And I love our great state. Yay, Cougars! There's a lot of Cougars out there. Sorry, Huskies. But I really love our great state, and having lived in different parts of the country, I think we have so much to offer. But we are falling behind, and I know we don't feel that way because we're right here, but having recently been in Virginia, I've seen that firsthand. So we do have a bright future in Washington. I have a slide up here, and if you look at our promise in STEM opportunities, in our state we have great opportunities in STEM. And STEM, as you know, is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And employment opportunities are great as well. So you can see the two states that have the greatest STEM opportunities are Washington and, believe it or not, Virginia. And they're a little ahead of us, but I think we can outdo them and take over. But we do need to really focus on this because we have all these jobs, but we do not have graduates to fill them. So if you look at the next slide, employers are going to need these areas in particular in STEM careers in Washington State. And what's happening is we are continuing to bring in workers from other parts of the country and other countries. And this is a huge concern for school superintendents and for educators and for business leaders. And I know in Spokane we talk about this a great deal. We have Spokane STEM. We're very pleased with Washington STEM and all of their support. But you can see computer science, and so we are really augmenting our computer science courses. But you can't wait till high school. These need to be implemented in middle school programs and as early as elementary as well. You can see another area that we really need more workers is engineers. I'm married to an engineer, and I hear it from him all the time, how important it is that we really educate our students so that they have the content knowledge, but also the skills to apply that knowledge so that they can be successful engineers and compete with others throughout the country. We also are needing more architects, technicians, and mathematicians. So STEM will continue to be a big area of concern, and we do not have students that are filling these jobs. I know when I lived in Oregon, the University of Oregon was filled with Oregonians. Clemson is filled with South Carolinians. Virginia Tech filled with Virginians, and we need to make sure we're filling Washington State and University of Washington with Washingtonians that can fill these jobs. So moving right ahead. But we do have some data that's concerning in our state, and that's why we need to get after it in K-12. We need to change our statistics. These are regional statistics and statewide statistics about what happens with our graduates. Most students, when you talk to them, when I go into a fifth grade classroom and ask them if they want to go to college, they say, yes, I want to go to college. But what happens is that only 26 of those 100 end up getting a degree, and that is a staggering statistic. The completion rates in our 2- and 4-year universities are very concerning for Washington State. It's very low compared to the rest of the nation. So again, we have to get out of that, get after that, make sure that we're getting our educational attainment for our students. Another concern about Washington State, and the next slide shows that we are 43rd in education spending per student throughout the nation. And so I don't like this chart. I know you don't either. I don't like to see Washington anywhere near the bottom. And so again, we need to really work hard to look at our education spending. And again, that's what's prompting the McCleary decision as well. One other slide that's very concerning is that we rank 47th in terms of class size. And there are some other initiatives going on right now about class size because it does make a big difference. I like to substitute in my classes, it's kind of like that undercover boss show, but I like to go in and see what's going on, and I substituted in a kindergarten classroom. And I walked in, and the principal met me at the door with a coffee and a bran muffin, and she said, I'll be in there today. And I said, no, it's okay, I've got this. She goes, no, I'll be in there. Kind of grabbed my arm. I was like, whoa. And I go in there, and I had 27 little kindergartners, and I tell you, it was quite the day. So I really believe in class size reduction. But Washington class sizes are among the largest in the nation. Reducing class sizes in the early grades significantly improves learning in all subjects, especially for students in poverty. And we do have the poorest zip code in the state in Spokane, and we really see a difference with that. The school where I had 27 kindergartners is one of our high poverty schools, and that just compounded this situation. Students also who are in smaller classes in elementary school are more likely to graduate from high school, which is on all of our minds. Since 2008, we've improved our graduation rate. We were at a not good statistic, 60%. Now we're at 80% in Spokane Public Schools, and our goal is 100%. So we know that class sizes in early grades really makes a difference. So yes, in Washington, we do need to invest in education in our youth because we know strong schools equals strong cities equals strong economies. So McCleary is not just about K-12 education. It's about investing in our youth with a guaranteed return on investment. When we educate early, the negative social impact is much less. We will need fewer services, food stamps, jails. Jails are filled with students that have a third grade reading level and below. So that's why we have to get our students reading beyond the third grade level. So the last slide I want to share with you is our big, bold new goal. In Spokane Public Schools, we've moved the finish line. It's not enough just to get students to high school graduation, but we want to get them to post-secondary completion. So whether it's technical school, 2-year or 4-year degrees, we are following all of our students to make sure that they are getting that completion. So we've hired college and career counselors that work year-round to help make sure we don't have the summer melt, and that's when students think they're going to college and they just never quite get there. And we're really working hard to make sure we have that post-secondary completion. But we can't do this alone. We need all of us working together. We need collective impact. We have some exciting things going in Spokane. I know Seattle has some great things going on as well in terms of working with our United Ways, communities, and schools, because we have to do this together, this heavy lifting and this work, to pool and leverage resources. We need these creative partnerships to help resources go much further because we know we can't keep raising taxes. We all know that. So we have to look at what we have and do things very differently than we ever have before in our great state. Because as an East Side girl knows, wells can and do run dry. Personally had that experience growing up. So we all need to work together for Washington youth. They're counting on us. Thank you.